The SEC quarterback rankings going into 2026 are harder than they look because this conference has almost everything. There are proven veterans who have already won playoff games, talented transfers entering brand new systems, former five-star recruits waiting for their first real opportunity, and 5 different schools that may not even know their Week 1 starter yet. And with the SEC moving to a 9-game conference schedule, there will be fewer weeks for these quarterbacks to hide. You cannot just beat up on 3 bad non-conference teams, put up big numbers, and convince everybody you're a star. These quarterbacks are going to be tested almost every Saturday. This ranking is based on what I expect each quarterback to do during the 2026 college season. It is not an NFL draft ranking, and it is not based only on recruiting stars. College experience matters. Knowing the offense matters. Protecting the football matters. The players at the bottom may have more raw talent than some of the veterans ahead of them, but until they actually prove it against SEC defenses, it will be irresponsible to rank them above quarterbacks who have already produced. Starting at number 16, I have George MacIntyre at Tennessee. That may sound low for a player Tennessee fans have been waiting to see, but MacIntyre has barely played college football. He completed 7 of 9 passes for 69 yards during the 2025 season. What makes him interesting is the frame and the arm. He is 6'6", has added weight, and came out of Brentwood Academy after throwing for more than 8,000 yards in high school. He can stand in the pocket and deliver the deep ball that Josh Heupel's offense needs. The question is whether he is physically and mentally ready to control one of the fastest offenses in college football, while SEC defensive coordinators are changing the picture after the snap. MacIntyre is also not guaranteed to start. Tennessee has Colorado transfer Ryan Staub and true freshman Faison Brandon in the competition. Brandon has the athletic ability to eventually become the most dangerous option in the room, while Staub has at least started college games before. MacIntyre has the advantage of already spending a year inside Heupel's system, and that is why I believe he will win the job. Number 15, I have Jared Curtis at Vanderbilt. Curtis may eventually look way too low on this list. He is the highest-rated recruit Vanderbilt has ever signed, and keeping him home in Nashville instead of allowing him to go to Georgia was one of the biggest recruiting wins in program history. At Nashville Christian, Curtis threw for more than 9,500 yards, added more than 2,100 rushing yards, and helped his school win back-to-back state championships. In his final state title game, he threw 5 touchdown passes and ran for another score. He already has the body of a college quarterback at 6'3" and around 230 pounds. The arm talent is not the concern. Curtis can drive the football down the field, throw outside the numbers, and create big plays when the pocket breaks down. The concern is asking a true freshman to replace Diego Pavia, who brought confidence, experience, and a very specific style of leadership to Vanderbilt. Curtis will see pressure packages and coverage rotations that he never saw in high school. He may have some great games, but he will also make freshman mistakes. His ceiling is extremely high, but I need to see him handle an SEC defense before moving him ahead of more experienced quarterbacks. At number 14, I have Keelon Russell at Alabama. Just like Curtis, Russell could move up this ranking very quickly. He was one of the best high school quarterbacks in the country at Duncanville, where he helped win back-to-back Texas State championships. He also won the Elite 11 MVP and became the Gatorade National Player of the Year. In limited action for Alabama last season, Russell completed 11 of 15 passes for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns. That is a tiny sample, but he looked comfortable and showed why Alabama believes he can eventually become a star. Russell has a fast release, can throw accurately while moving, and is a better athlete than people realize. I believe Russell eventually starts because his upside is too great to keep off the field. The question is whether that happens in Week 1 or after Alabama has already played several games. At number 13, I have Kenny Minchey at Kentucky. Minchey is one of the hardest quarterbacks in the conference to evaluate because he spent most of his Notre Dame career sitting behind other talented players. He appeared in 6 games during 2025, completing 20 passes for 196 yards, while also showing some ability as a runner. He was a highly rated recruit coming out of Tennessee, but he has never entered a season as the clear leader of a major college offense. The Kentucky offense under Will Stein should give Minchie opportunities to make quick decisions and use his legs. He is not going to overpower defenses with the strongest arm in the SEC, but he moves well, understands where the ball should go, and should be protected by an improved offensive line. Kentucky does not need him to become a Heisman candidate. It needs him to avoid negative plays, convert manageable third downs, and keep the offense on schedule. He is a breakout candidate, but right now, most of his ranking is still based on projection rather than proven production. Philo transferred from Georgia Tech and reunited with Buster Faulkner. That connection matters because Philo will not be learning the offense completely from the beginning. He also owns the Georgia high school record with 13,922 career passing yards, breaking the previous mark held by Trevor Lawrence. That tells you he has been throwing the football at a high level for a long time. Philo is not the biggest quarterback or the strongest runner in this conference. His advantage is how quickly he sees the field and gets the ball out. Florida needs that because the Gators cannot spend another season asking the quarterback to rescue broken plays on every possession. Philo is competing with Tramell Jones Jr., who has the stronger arm and played well during the spring game. Jones completed 13 of 17 passes for 210 yards and 2 touchdowns, while Philo threw 2 touchdowns but also 2 interceptions. That battle is real, but Philo's experience with Faulkner gives him a small advantage entering camp. At number 11, I have KJ Jackson at Arkansas. KJ is not receiving the attention of the former 5-star quarterbacks, but he may be one of the safest young options on this list. He completed 33 of 54 passes for 441 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no interceptions during limited action in 2025. Arkansas was falling apart around him, yet Jackson did not look overwhelmed when he was finally placed on the field. Jackson also played well in the spring game, completing 9 of 13 passes for 129 yards and a touchdown. What stands out is that he usually does not force the spectacular play. He is willing to take the short completion, move through his reads, and keep the offense alive. Arkansas is rebuilding under Ryan Silverfield, and the schedule includes Georgia, Texas, LSU, Tennessee, Texas A&M, and several other dangerous opponents. Jackson is not walking into an easy situation, but his calm style could keep Arkansas competitive longer than expected. At number 10, I have Austin Simmons at Missouri. Simmons has one of the best arms among the quarterbacks in the middle of this ranking. He was talented enough to reclassify, begin his college career extremely young, and compete for the starting job at Ole Miss. The problem is that when he finally received his opportunity, the results were uneven. Simmons completed 60% of his passes for 744 yards and 4 touchdowns, but he also threw 5 interceptions and suffered an ankle injury that opened the door for Trinidad Chambliss. Missouri gives Simmons a fresh start and a strong running game led by Ahmad Hardy. That should prevent defenses from sitting back and waiting for Simmons to make mistakes. He can make throws that many college quarterbacks will not even attempt, but he has to learn that having the arm to fit a ball into coverage doesn't always mean he should throw it. If Missouri gets the aggressive Simmons without the reckless decisions, the Tigers could have one of the better offenses in the conference. If the interceptions continue, Missouri will struggle to stay above the middle of the SEC. At number 9, I have Kamario Taylor at Mississippi State. Taylor may be the most interesting breakout candidate in the entire conference. He found the end zone in each of Mississippi State's final 6 games, and it became obvious that Jeff Lebby had found the quarterback he wanted to build around. Taylor is 6'4", powerful, and dangerous when Mississippi State uses him as a designed runner. Defenses cannot simply count him as a passer because he gives the Bulldogs an extra blocker and an extra running threat on every option play. He still needs to become more consistent with his short and intermediate accuracy, and there will be moments when he relies too much on his size instead of making the simple read. But Mississippi State does not need him to throw 45 times per game. Lebby can create open space, use Taylor's legs, and slowly expand the passing game as the season moves forward. At number 8, I have Sam Leavitt from LSU. Leavitt would be higher if there were no health concerns. During Arizona State's 2024 run to the Big 12 Championship and College Football Playoff, he threw for 2,885 yards, 24 touchdowns, and only 6 interceptions. He also ran for 433 yards and 5 scores. That season proved he can lead a winning team and perform in major games. His 2025 season was interrupted by a serious foot injury after 7 starts, leading to another transfer and a fresh start at LSU. Now he gets to play for Lane Kiffin, one of the best coaches in college football at creating simple throws that turn into big gains. Leavitt can move, throw accurately on the run, and attack downfield without needing perfect protection. LSU has also rebuilt the roster around him. The only reason he is not in the top 5 is that he missed most of spring practice while recovering and must build chemistry with a new group of receivers. If his foot is completely healthy, Leavitt could finish the season much higher than 8th. At number 7, I have LaNorris Sellers at South Carolina. Sellers looked like a future superstar in 2024. He threw for 2,534 yards and 18 touchdowns while running for a school quarterback record of 674 yards. He was named the SEC Freshman of the Year and looked almost impossible to tackle once he escaped the pocket. Then, everything became much harder in 2025. His passing numbers fell to 2,437 yards with 13 touchdowns and 8 interceptions, while his rushing production dropped to 270 yards. The biggest problem was not a sudden loss of talent. South Carolina struggled to protect him, and Sellers began holding the ball while waiting for something to open. He's built like a linebacker and has the arm strength to attack any part of the field, but sometimes his greatest strengths work against him. Because he can break tackles and extend plays, he believes he can rescue every possession. In 2026, he has to become more willing to take the quick completion or throw the ball away. His strong finish against Clemson showed that the talent is still there. South Carolina's season depends on whether the earlier version of Sellers returns. At number 6, I have John MacIntyre at Oklahoma. MacIntyre entered the SEC with enormous expectations after producing 44 total touchdowns at Washington State in 2024. During his first Oklahoma season, he passed for 2,885 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 11 interceptions, while adding 431 yards and 8 scores on the ground. Oklahoma still finished 10-3, but MacIntyre was not the same explosive quarterback after suffering an injury to his throwing hand. That injury is important because MacIntyre's entire game is built around confidence. He attacks tight windows, escapes pressure, and plays as though every possession can become a touchdown. When his hand affected his accuracy, those aggressive throws became turnovers. Oklahoma has worked to improve the offensive line and receiving core around him, so there should be fewer possessions where MacIntyre feels forced to do everything himself. A healthy version of MacIntyre is one of the most dangerous quarterbacks in the SEC. The 11 interceptions are why he remains outside my top 5. At number 5, I have Byrum Brown at Auburn. Brown followed Alex Golesh from South Florida after one of the most productive seasons by any quarterback in college football. He threw for 3,158 yards and 28 touchdowns, while rushing for 1,008 yards and another 14 scores. Only a small group of quarterbacks in college football history have reached 3,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards in the same season. The obvious question is whether those numbers will transfer to the SEC. Brown will not be running away from defenders at Auburn as easily as he did at South Florida. He will face bigger linemen, faster linebackers, and deeper defensive rotations. The reason I still have him 5th is that he already knows Golesh's offense, and several familiar receivers followed him to Auburn. There should not be a long adjustment period. Even if his total production drops, his legs gave Auburn a dependable way to create offense when the passing game is not working. He may not become the best pure passer in the conference, but he could be one of its most valuable players. At number 4, I have Gunnar Stockton at Georgia. Stockton does not receive the same attention as Arch Manning or Marcel Reed, but all he did during his first full season was complete almost 70% of his passes, throw for 2,894 yards, produce 34 total touchdowns, win the SEC championship, and finish 7th in Heisman voting. He also threw only 5 interceptions. Some people view Stockton as a quarterback being carried by Georgia's roster and system. There is some truth to the fact that Georgia helps him with play action, screens, and simple reads, but running the offense correctly is still a skill. Stockton rarely panics, he's willing to lower his shoulder as a runner, and he performs well when Georgia reaches the red zone. He may not ever have the prettiest deep ball in the conference, but he understands what his team needs. With another offseason as the starter, the Bulldogs should trust him to control more of the offense at the line of scrimmage. At number 3, I have Marcel Reed at Texas A&M. Reed threw for 3,169 yards and 25 touchdowns in 2025, while rushing for 493 yards and 6 scores. He led Texas A&M to an 11-2 record and its first college football playoff appearance. When Texas A&M needed someone to create a huge play, Reed was usually the answer. He also threw 12 interceptions, which is why he is not number 1. Reed believes in his arm, and that confidence produces both incredible touchdowns and avoidable turnovers. He can attack downfield, move outside the pocket, and completely change a game with his legs. The concern for 2026 is that Texas A&M must replace most of its starting offensive line. Reed may face more pressure, and pressure can make an aggressive quarterback even more aggressive. If he cuts the interceptions from 12 to 7 or 8, he could win the SEC. If they remain high, the Aggies may lose close games that they won last season. At number 2, I have Arch Manning at Texas. His first full season as the starter was not perfect, but it was much better than some people act like it was. Manning threw for 3,163 yards, 26 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. He also ran for 399 yards and led Texas with 10 rushing touchdowns. Over the final 6 games, he produced more than 1,700 passing yards and 20 total touchdowns, showing that he was becoming more comfortable as the season continued. Manning still has moments when he waits too long for the perfect throw. When the first read is covered, he can hesitate, reset his feet, and allow the pass rush to reach him. But the physical talent is obvious. He can make every throw Steve Sarkisian needs, and his ability as a runner gives Texas another option near the goal line. This season should feel different because he is no longer waiting behind another quarterback or entering the year as a first-time starter. He has experienced difficult road environments, playoff-level pressure, and the attention that comes with his last name. Now he has to turn that experience into a championship. At number 1, I have Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss. Chambliss completed 66.1% of his passes for 3,937 yards, 22 touchdowns, and only 3 interceptions in 2025. He also ran for 527 yards and 8 touchdowns while leading Ole Miss to 13 wins and multiple college football playoff victories. Chambliss began his career at Division II Ferris State, where he was part of national championship teams, before transferring to Ole Miss. That background shows up in his game. He does not play like someone worried about proving he has the strongest arm. He distributes the ball, protects it, and understands when to use his legs. His eligibility battle with the NCAA created uncertainty during the offseason, but a Mississippi court granted relief and the state Supreme Court declined to overturn it, leaving him expected to play in 2026. The challenge is that Ole Miss has changed around him. Lane Kiffin is now at LSU, Pete Golding is leading the Rebels, and several major pieces must be replaced. Chambliss will not be operating the exact same offense with the exact same supporting cast. But until another quarterback proves he can combine winning, production, mobility, and ball security at the same level, Chambliss deserves the top position. So that is how I have every projected SEC starting quarterback entering the 2026 season. I already know there will be disagreements. This list could change quickly because someone like Keelon Russell, Jared Curtis, George MacIntyre, or Kamario Taylor could become a star before the year is over. Let me know which quarterback I rank too high, which one I rank too low, and who you believe will be the best quarterback in the SEC this season.